citizens of Fiji listening and watching. Firstly, Mr. Speaker, before I respond to the appropriation bill for the 2020-2021 budget that is currently before the House, I would like to congratulate the Social Democratic Liberal Party management, its Vice President and General Secretary in time of our party suspension as directed by the Supervisor of Elections, with its trickle effect down to our suspension, members of the Independence of Parliament, our 21 members of Parliament, including this Kandavu candidate. My further congratulations to the SDALPA management in organizing several other board meetings, and last Saturday, 25th July, a special general meeting where 21 loyal members under the COVID-19 restrictions anonymously elected this new SDALPA president, Ratu Ebenezer Dakumbau of the Kumbuda Confederacy, and his 3 new vice presidents, Honorable Rotemu Mukapa from the Murray-Barsang Confederacy, Honorable Ratu Naingam Lalambalau from the Tobat Confederacy, and Aranayandra, former SDALPA Minister, George Siraj from Yasasvara. Thank you for having us, Mr. Speaker. Now that we are back in your Parliament chambers, with full commitment to the duties expected of your loyal opposition, and perhaps a guarantee of your unwavering legal protection of our independence here, Mr. Speaker. I wish to thank Mr. George Patterson and the Patterson Shipping to be the second alternate wide-bodied maritime vessel to operate twice weekly, Monday and Tuesday, Thursday and Friday, to the Chifili Island of Kandavu. The people of Kandavu favorably welcomes the competition from both service providers, Patterson Shipping, Gonda Shipping, and also the existing franchise operations, MV Leona and MV Nubukalevu. Improved maritime service has been an occupational health safety issue since Kingdom Come for the Vunulevu Lau Group, Lomei Viti, Rutuma, Mamanu, Deasawa, Problem Bang, and Watleta, with our new Minister of Transport allocated with a 2.6 million shipping services subsidy and 3.9 operation grant and capital grant at 600,000 to Maritime Safety Authority. Surely a realization of unlimited upgrades events will surface rather than just a fancy, irresponsible devising budget, being the current trend in the years of governmental leadership. Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Minister of Economy has brought our beloved Fiji to his knees, begging with his unprecedented $2 billion net deficit to balance the estimated expenditure of $3.7 billion. This is a well-framed, thought-out, theoretical, deceiving budget, a budget to save face in a crisis situation. From a layman's perspective of earning $1.7 billion, their simple expenses should be around the same, unknowingly of an existing debt of $8.25 billion and an unprecedented debt level never experienced in our Fiji economy. The late Honourable Ngarase was blamed for almost bankrupting Fiji at a debt level of $2.5 billion on the 6th of December 2006. The Messiah illegally took our government, promising the late President Turana Tuibunda that he will eradicate and make Fiji corrupt-free, debtless, and make Fiji free again. Well, 14 years later, we're knocking on doors of financial doom. Our late Prime Minister and former commander of the RFMF in 2006 saw fit to overthrow illegally the late Honourable Prime Minister Turana Tuikumbu, Laisinia Garase, with the great 1997 Constitution, which protected governments from misuse of government funds, introducing an illegal 2013 Constitution and created 4 times more, an unprecedented reality of from $2.5 billion to 8.26 billion debt today. What is happening here, Honourable Prime Minister? If that commitment was the same as in the 7th December 2006, listen, should be expecting someone for a home run to the Government House to inform His Excellency President of the unprecedented debt accumulated resulting from corruption, nepotism, lack of transparency, and absence of democracy that resulted Fiji to be at a crossroad and at a point of no return, resulting bills introduced for tax reductions from 5% FNPF contribution by employee and employer until 31st December 2021, a 21.2% contraction of economy, a 20.2% net deficit of GDP, 1% inflation rate with 100 million allocated for unemployment assistance scheme, another top-up of 30 million allocated for MSME loan program, and 60 million for Fiji recovery rebate program with the Bulla Bubble and Bulla Lane. I love the taxis code. Why are we doing this? Why are we speaking? The real question about this budget is, how did we get here in the first place? No matter how fancy the words and the figures are placed in defense of this budget, how did we get here before COVID-19? Stop blaming COVID-19. How will this Fiji's economy grow? Listen, from what evidence? You do not have one. Do you have one? Because all is forecasted, only evidence everyone can see, there is no money. It is an irresponsible, deceiving budget. Mr. Speaker, I love the KISS principle. Keep it simple, Simione. How will the hardworking citizens of Fiji know your targets? How Fiji first will get out of this doom's hole? There is no recovery plan. I will embrace the Bulla Bubble, Bulla Lane for economy recovery for Fiji. Tread well with the New Zealanders and Australians. They know who we are. How more frequent we belittle them. Because without Bulla Bubble, it will be a Matem Bubble and a Mate Lane, and we will go back to the origin of a regressive budget without vision, because it is irresponsible and deceiving. Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank the Minister of Fisheries from Yahweh Kandawi, Old Boy of Lillian, for his contribution to the debate, and the Ministries of Fisheries 2020-2021 budget, which I wish to detail. Head 31, Ministry of Fisheries budget is declining every year, even though it is the Fiji's leading primary resource-based sector, which contributes 1.8% to GDP, having to employ around 580 plus workers Fiji-wide, with the biggest surface mass, more than land. It is in the safe hands with government and with its traditional resource owners, as far as north of Esawa to Rotuma, through Vanuatu to the Lau Group, as far as to the Olympic swimmers of Onelau to Onekadabu, Nambukelebe Ra, Public Kandabu to Rara to SS Moala, and the coastal areas of Fiji and Vanuatu, including the 200 mile zone EZ. The 2020-21 total expenditure in the Fisheries, Ministry of Fisheries is 15.47 million, with a total capital expenditure of 10.656 million, with the operating expenditure, 10.656 million, with a capital expenditure of 4.09 million. A total of 2.24 is under R. This is what I call the rare account. See, no, cannot touch, because Godfather is looking. Anyways, R is rare account. Head 50 is the rare account. It has the electronic monitoring system with 600,000. Seaweed development program, ongoing construction of multi-species hatchery in rice, about 677,000. Upgrade of office and quarters, 500,000, and preparatory work for the ice plants in Waingaro and Koro. Completion of Wayne Bakasi staff quarters, and his final payment is all inclusive, 110, all in RIE. It's about 2.24 million in R. Most of these R or rare budgets have been ongoing since 2018-2019 budget, 2019-2020 budget, now 2020-21 budget, and decreasing, meaning that the Minister is at it. And thank you, Minister, for this detailed explanation yesterday of the Ministry from your Uzuma Nduru reply. Mr. Speaker, sirs, Fisheries report revenue figures is not forthcoming. Revenue for fisheries was about 15.9 million in 2015, a remarkable achievement. We had about 8.7 million decrease in 2016 to have about 107 million. A further decrease in revenue in 2017 to 94.4 million. However, an increase of 6 million in 2018. Another further decrease of 5 million in 2019, and a further decrease, almost 40 million, in its 2020 forecast. But there's an increase of 13.8 million forecast in 2021, and an increased forecast by 5 million in 2022. What makes this budget trends responsible in deceiving is that when expenditure increases, export revenue decreases in millions, as outlined earlier, except in 2018. Now that the expenditure is decreased in 2021, forecast revenue increased, and another increase in 2022. But, Mr. Speaker, it is the integrity of the Minister of Fisheries to top up its better performance until the next elections, as fisheries is not performing to its visions as the leader in fisheries in small island economies to drive sustainable resources management, economic growth, and improve livelihood through smart fisheries. Sustainable Development Goals number 14, life below water, at inshore, rivers, streams, and offshore must be well maintained, establishing protected maritime areas, targeting 30% of Fiji marine life. A great time to reactivate those that have lost their jobs, for hotel workers, airline workers, into fishing activities. Examine the boat master levy of $136, and also the boat fees every year. Almost everything I exempted except the boat, which is for maritime areas. Please include maritime islands of Kandavu, Watulele, Mbanga, Matuku, Southern Lau to Onilau, where it's badly affected by TC Harrow. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry of Fisheries have yet to put its SDG target points on the website with environment pillar of sustainable islands and ocean resources. Shrimps import to Fiji is about 25 million annually. Ministry of Fisheries, with association with industries and farms, to reduce it by 1 million on a yearly basis. Is this has been achieved? This is a good time to improve this target exercise. What is happening to the beach deburn ban, Mr. Speaker? The people of Kandavu are asking, people around the Coral Coast, Lomeviti, Vonolevu, Lau, Yasawa, and the Chinese are hungry. As Minister of Fisheries is committed to all maritime islands for this preservation, sources of food supply and employment, with a 15.43 budget, I stand to seek the Minister of Agriculture. As for all maritime islands, for the budget of the Angolan farming program, where you have 250,000. Vanilla farming, we have about 140,000. Women in agriculture, 250,000. Ndalo farming program, 350,000 Farm mechanization, you have about 500,000. And rural outer island agriculture program, 900,000. Please, maritime islands, Kandavu, Matuku, Lau, Lomeviti, Rotuma, Batulele, Mbanga, Mamanud, and Sawas. Honorable Pramila Kumar, remember the maritime islands. They are part of Fiji too. Last week, Mr. Speaker, Sadalpa was the alternative government, vibrant politics force, a practical national movement inclusive of the interests and aspiration of each and every community in Fiji, proved that we have the ability to sail through a storm and emerge stronger and united. This, of course, is felt across the chamber as we find the government side envied by our unity and more alternative ideologies that we have put in course in this budget debate. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am a person who gets along with ordinary citizens very easily, so that they can confide with grudges and grievances, as well as their interest and aspiration very openly. Let me share a few of them. One young man from Suva who had been laid off his job due to COVID-19 crisis could not access to his FNPF. Yet while discussing about his budget said, "Bosso, looks good, these things in the budget, but where will they get their money from? Will make a reality." That explains the concern of the people on the unprecedented 2.7 billion deficit in this budget. The other is an astute observation by an university student. This young person asked, how is it possible for the Fiji First government now remove duty on more than 1,600 items, when the eve of November 2018 elections, the same government said removal of VAT on 25 basic food items would would make Fiji bankrupt state. Can you see the logic in this young man's argument? The third and last that I want to share in this expression for Fiji First voter herself, who said she voted for them because the security issues and the freebies, and now realize her mistake. It proves the point that you cannot fool some people some of the time, but not all of the people all of the time. Thus leading me to say that this budget is a gross betrayal of mandate by this irresponsible, egocentric and selfish government. The other thing that has clearly emerged from this budget is how to spin a tale or make my myth look like a hype or a rather reality. With it is usual fairy tales befitting Cinderella and Alice in Wonderland, trumpeted by the Minister of Economy. It is fun to see how some mouthpieces in this government are parroting to the tune of this effect. They include the CEO of Commerce and Consumer Competition Commission of Fiji, the Institute of Accountants, Fiji Sun, Fiji Broadcasting Commission, Fiji First social media cyber warriors whose numbers are depleting by each passing day, and very lately a bit of surprising meddling in Fiji Internal Affairs, the Office of the United Nations based in Suva. All in all, Mr. Speaker, sir, this drama to give some credence to this hopeless and self-defeating budget is not working. On the contrary, it is skinning the cat to the bone, exposing the truth of the matter that has never done before. What is the truth of the matter, Mr. Speaker? It is the years of spending a drunkard in the nightclub promoting its socialist policies and programs, inculcating and then entrenching the dependency syndrome via the handout culture, lack of discipline, financial management, and unsound leadership, and turning promises into debts. This government has put Fiji on a pathway of socio-economic catastrophe and imminent bankruptcy. That is the ultimate truth about this budget. Maritime places like Tandavu, Banga, Vatulele, Lomaiviti, Mr. Speaker, sir, are going to suffer from what they have been suffering in the past under this uncaring government. This budget for rural and remote communities means withholding all maintenance and capital works with respect to major infrastructure projects. Lack of development of tourism and ecotourism's development due to the border lockdown and the Bula bubble bursting like a boom becoming a doom. Pending development of resource-based sectors such as agriculture, aquaculture, fisheries and forests, given the budgetary allocations. Continuing poverty of success and affording state services at considerable cost. The goodies announced in the budget not translating into the welfare and security of the ordinary people, given the dismal record of this government to raise revenue via loans to bridge the wide gap created at all-time high 2.7 billion budget deficit, making it not only an unrealistic budget, but depleting this government in attempting to live beyond its means in the utopia. Mr. Speaker, sir, the failure to inject funding for agro-based industries to have drastic effect on cover growers like in Kandavu. They are already frustrated by the factors, the impact of natural disasters and climate change, the division caused by the intention of this government, setting up a cover council as opposed to cover growers council. The objects of regulating the cover industry without consulting the growers, the impact upon the market, sales and prices of cover at home and abroad, given the global economic meltdown resulted from COVID-19. Failures as such, this one is the cover industry is pushing our people living in rural areas and remote areas seeking to make a decent living on the margins of society, and some to cultivate trade in imports like drugs. The mention of substance abuse, Mr. Speaker, sir, brings me a few words of the Fiji police and more so on its ongoing reforms, which allude and welcome. This, a timely action, though late and at a considerable cost to our national coffers, is about 24 million per annum for 5 years. Mr. Speaker, sir, wow. Endorsing the supporting comments made by Ratu Neo Matewalo only today, let me add by asking the government to follow the following questions. Mr. Speaker, sir, on this side of this House, I was touched and grateful that the Honourable Minister for Economy thanked God twice in his responsible, rudderless, deceiving budget on the 17th of July. Yes, this God is great and definitely acts in mysterious ways. This, with the loyal opposition, financial minds and support, we will ask God in our prayers to temporarily borrow the rudder to sail through these financial stormy waters, or sure as a way to allow citizens of Fiji to swim sustainably rather than just afloat, to better economic safe shore for Fiji. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, as a state of this House would fork out our life savings before we see these initiatives go through. Mr. Speaker, please request their bank statements, bonds and living and their savings.
Order.
2,750,000,000 gross deficit will be cleared, no doubt, and save Fiji from the usual aggressive attack of the Asian Development Bank, World Bank, IMF, Asian Infrastructure Investment and multilateral development from the gross deficit. Mr. Speaker, I say all this in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.